everybody, and welcome back to the United Stand. It is the live call-in show with a little bit of a special twist. We will be taking your calls very, very soon, so click the link down below and go and join the Discord and get involved. We want to hear your say. But we are joined today as a special for the derby coming up on Sunday with Manchester City fan Luke. Luke, thank you for being here.
No worries at all. Yeah, happy to be here.
Yeah, it's good to have you on. We've also filmed another special video that you'll be seeing very soon. But Faz, as well, call-in show, we're back. How are you feeling with the derby on Sunday?
Somewhat confident, you know. Harry Maguire scoring, Onana saving a penalty. Things are looking good right now. So
don't speak too soon. Don't speak too soon. I mean, Luke, let's get your initial opinions as a City fan on Sunday. How confident are you? Which way do you see it going?
Yeah, no, I'm very confident. I think if I was to bet on it now, I think City will comfortably win the game. But as I did say, if United, you know, hit us on a counter, the later United get into the game, the more of a chance you're going to have. And I just think, you know, as I said on the pre-recorded stuff, I think United get the dodgy decisions. It's just facts. Like United get the decisions. You got, you know, the penalty at Wembley. You got that goal last year that was offside, and I think that's what it could be about. It could
Surely
honestly be about
City is so good, they should be beating us anyway.
Yeah, we should be. But you know, let's just see. I'm confident for the game, 100%.
I mean, City the last 5 away games, you've lost 3, won 2. Does that not knock your confidence a little?
Nah, I don't think so, because, you know, as I said, the Newcastle game, Carabao Cup, I'm not really even going to count that. Like, weakened squad, it's a different team to the team that's going to be playing against United, so I'm not too bothered about that. The Wolves game was shocking, we didn't turn up there, and then the Arsenal game could have gone either way, could have been a draw. So I'm not overly stressed about coming to Old Trafford, to be honest.
Yes, and if anyone's got any questions for Luke, get them in the chat below, and I will ask them to him, because it's, you know, obviously, I hate Manchester City, but I like to get opposition opinions, especially. Sometimes the bias, I have so many City fans that I'm like, what are you talking about? But you've actually not been too bad, but you are overly confident.
Yeah,
maybe you have a right to be, considering how poor we've been. But Faz, obviously you've been a little bit on the fence around Erik ten Hag recently, so I like to ask other people this as well. What are your thoughts on Erik ten Hag?
I think he's decent. I think he's a good manager, and I think what he's trying to do is just difficult because he's not got the experience. I think he's obviously young compared to maybe other managers, and he's not done as much in his career. So I think when he first came in, he looked shocking. Like last year, you were losing games. Brentford, that one was awful, I'm guessing, for you at the start of the season. And I think what he's trying to do, I can see what he's trying to do, but at the same time, I just don't think it's coming off anymore. So, yeah, I don't know what you think about it, but I think the football he's trying to play, it's not working. I just don't think it's working at all.
Faz?
Mm-hmm.
Faz?
About Erik ten Hag, I thought he was saying something.
Yeah, Erik ten Hag.
Look, I think he's out of his depth. The manager's out of his depth. He's not managed a club this size before. He's not managed players who are worth 100 million, 80 million price tags before. And he's learning on the job, and that's all it is when it comes to Erik ten Hag. What's funny though is when he came to Manchester United, it was bald versus bald, and who's going to be the best, and blah blah blah, all of that stuff that we did. And now, funny enough, we've got Højlund versus Haaland. But yeah, Manchester City, what Pep Guardiola's done is absolutely astonishing with that team. But make no mistake, Pep did that based on all of the other factors behind the scenes that he had as well. And I'm sure if Erik ten Hag had access to funds and access to an organisation...
Access to funds? You spent more than Pep probably, mate.
Yeah, but...
5 minutes, never mind, last 2 years.
But look, Pep, ever since he's come in, he's had the ability to replace players again and again. He's had the ability to go through keepers. Now he's brought in Doku because...
Go through keepers? I don't know about that. He got rid of Joe Hart straight away. We had Bravo, who was awful, and then Edison came in. That was literally it.
And imagine if Andrew Onana, who's not doing well, are we in the position to go and get another keeper? Do we have that luxury?
It's been like 7 games. And he just saved a pen, to be fair.
Okay, but still,
They
it's
give
still,
Bravo the season. You give Bravo the season.
Bravo was like having a dodgeball player in goal. He was genuinely useless. So that's why Caballero was in there.
For sure,
Joe Hart was coming to the end of his time at City, whereas De Gea, I think, what is he, 30, 31, something like that?
But
I think he should have stayed at United.
But Man City can just replace a player as well. They got rid of Cancelo, who I was absolutely shocked that they did that.
Yeah.
And it's like it almost doesn't hurt them because they'll always have some sort of recruitment strategy to bring in the next player. They're already prepared that Kevin De Bruyne, if he gets injured, they'll have someone else playing, and that's obviously the manager doing well as well. But we don't have that luxury. We don't have the squad.
Well, why
We've
not?
got players
What
that
made me laugh was when Pep was like saying that they've got one of the.
Listen, when was the last time?
Squads is like depth.
But the thing is for City, this is the thing. I see it time after time.
You have got squad depth. Come on.
We have squad depth in terms of quality, but in terms of numbers, we just don't. If you injured 5 players now at City, you'd be looking at Rico Lewis to be playing every game. You'd be looking to the bench. We have 15 good players, 15 first team strong players. And the problem is the depth. The thing is with the depth, Nathan Ake, Akanji, almost every player in the City team, besides, let's say, Diaz, Rodri and Haaland, can play a number of positions. And that's where you see the depth. I don't think City have got lots of players. United have probably more sort of first team players than City.
But the difference is the quality is so different.
Yeah.
Can I just say, obviously, City doesn't need to spend the type of money that Erik ten Hag does because they've had continuity, if that's the word. They've had a pattern, right? When was the last time Man City had a centre-back that was holding the club for ransom? When was the last time Man City had a player that couldn't go on loan? When was the last time Man City had a player who's gone on loan and got injured?
It's a recruitment strategy.
It's an overall thing.
City are thinking 3-4 years in advance with who is signing.
That's right.
United are going, who's the big paycheck, big money, Pogba,
Well, it comes down to
Ronaldo
ownership
signing.
at the end of the day. It does come down to ownership, and our ownership is terrible, and your ownership is very good, and that's.
Well, they're not very good.
No, their ownership is very good.
No, they're not very good. No, they're not.
The way that they've invested.
They've got 115 reasons not to be very good, Beth. They're not good.
I don't think any of that's been proven yet.
Yeah, it's not been proven. Look at what they're doing to Everton.
Since they've come in.
No, I'm not having
to United on FFP, mate.
Those charges just didn't come out the blue, though.
Since them owners have come in, I hate City, but since them owners have come in, they've literally won a treble.
Yes, because they're cooking the books. It's all out in the public. It was a crazy. I had Man City fans tell me they didn't want to speak to me because they've got something else going on. Well, no, you don't. You're ignoring me because you know why. Because Man City are known to do this.
No, you're saying we're cooking the books. First of all, none of that's been proven. So you can't
allegedly.
Right.
Before I get a lawsuit.
Manchester City 0 charges confirmed. Manchester United 1. That's all I've got to say. You got a fine, you paid the fine, you accepted the charge, and you exceeded FFP. So
we had Ed Woodward and what's the Neil Ashton? Is it the other person who is it? The one who does Man United comms? I forgot his name. But we had Ed Woodward and them, and you had how many solicitors did you have? How many barristers?
Don't matter. Why don't United spend more?
I don't know.
You said their owners are bad. I think obviously the charges. I think a lot of them charges have happened, and I think it should be punished for them. But you can't say that the owners are not good owners, because they are, and we would wish for something like that.
Listen,
that's why you wanted the Qatari money. Where's that gone? Do you know what I mean? You'd have been buzzing for that. You'd have absolutely loved it.
Yeah, but I'm going to be honest, I would have.
Yeah.
I would have. Shane P says, enjoy the championship when the charges hit.
I will be, mate. Don't worry about that, because we'll still won the treble. So, yeah, I will enjoy it.
Fred's Flintstone says, how would you feel if all the charges would go through? Would it change your mind about the ownership and City's success?
Yeah, well, as I said off camera before, I think the way the operation has been run since 2008, when the owners came in, it's been almost flawless. There's obviously been a few bumps along the road, but obviously the FFP came in after the takeover. It's like 2011, 2012, and there was a couple kind of things we couldn't iron out, because when you're making like a financial plan, you're not going to do it a year at a time. It's going to be a long-term thing. So, you know, we can take those on the chin. Years ago, we took the fines. I think I'd just be very surprised if they went through, because, as I said, the way this has gone so far, I think it'd be naive for the owners to make a mistake like that and cook the books, as you put it. I just don't think that would have happened. So I'm confident that that's not happened.
I mean, Faz, the news coming in, as you can see, is that Manchester United are expected to look for a permanent deal for Amrabat before the end of the season. That's coming from The Athletic. I mean, Faz, do you think, obviously Amrabat's had a bit of criticism over his recent performances. Do you think that's a deal that Man United should be rushing to make permanent?
No, we shouldn't be. We absolutely shouldn't be. We should be, listen, Sofian Amrabat is nowhere near, with all due respect, the player that we initially started off looking, which was Frankie de Jong. There was a level of football that we wanted to set when we got Erik ten Hag, the type of players we wanted. You know, he's been linked with Vardiol, he's been linked with Frankie de Jong, he wanted João Felix.
And he got Johnny Evans, you know what I mean?
You're right, you are right. It is shameful. But we need to go back to that strategy of getting those sorts of players. And let's be deadly honest, we loaned in Sofian Amrabat not because we actually wanted him. If we had the serious amount of money and if the money was being spent correctly, we would have been going in for someone else 100%. Because look at Man City and Liverpool, they're going in for Jamal Musiala next.
Yeah.
They are going for those sorts of players.
It's about the landscape, though. The landscape of City is attractive. You could double the money, and it's whether the player wants to go there anymore. The times have changed, you know what I mean?
Shane P says, we won it first, remember that, of course.
Ah, okay, mate. Okay.
We won it without any charges on our backs as well.
Okay. Not been proven yet, so
we'll always have that over you.
Yeah,
always have that over you.
That.
And plus, out of the Carabao Cup, so at least
our treble was better, though, because we did it against you. So
your treble was not better.
You could have stopped it. You could have stopped it. You didn't stop it. You could have literally stopped it, and you know what? 12 seconds into the game, it's gone.
With all due
David De Gea, I'm joking.
Yeah.
I know, I have to agree with him. Because I said that before the game. As much as I'm erratic and emotional, but I have to agree with him because I said it well up to build up to the game. Well, since we actually beat since we went through the semi-final, I said it comes down to us. And what a proud moment it would be for the players to look back and said, we were the 11, we were the team, this was the manager that stopped the great Pep Guardiola from winning his treble. And we didn't. We handed it to them. And also Inter Milan, Lukaku messed us up as well. Lukaku and all that one. So.
In a way, you do have a point in the sense of Ten Hag, not just Ten Hag, but the players should have done better that day to try and stop that from happening. But I will always feel like Manchester United treble is better because they did it fair and square. Chris says City were charged with breaking FFP in 2014, fined 49 mil and handed transfer restrictions. Yeah. The 115 charges are separate.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said that's what I mean. I said, but those have already been ironed out. We've taken that on our chin and so on. But what I'm saying is, FFP didn't exist when Sheikh Mansour and that group took over the club. FFP wasn't a thing. It was brought in after that to pretty much try and stop teams like City, Newcastle and so on investing, because basically the elite wanted to stay at the top. It was 2011, 2012 that the teams brought that in, and when you buy a club and that doesn't exist and it gets dropped on you, what can you do in that time to your plan when it never included that kind of restriction? Yeah. On
the last few minutes that we have with you before we move on to our callers, make sure you get in the Discord to call into our show. The link is in the description. Quickly sum up, where do you think it's going on Sunday? Who are United players to watch out for City? Where can we get you? What can Manchester United do to try and win that game?
Yeah, well, first of all, United can cheat. I've already said this last year.
Oh, don't talk about the referees. Move on to something else.
Okay, I think it's the counter-attacks. The counter-attacks are where you're deadly. We've seen that for the last 5-6 years. You know you're not going to outplay us in football because even when you play a team like Brighton, you just get dominated on the ball. You're not as good at football as Brighton, so you're not going to be as good as City. So I think you basically are going to sit back, try and soak it up, try and ride your luck a bit on the counter-attacks, and that's what you're going to do. So it's Rashford, it's Højlund if he gets a chance, and that's the danger for United. That's what I'd say.
And it's Harry Maguire.
And your score prediction?
I tell you what. Tune into the video and you'll find out my score prediction in that. There we go.
That's a good way to leave it off. Look, Luke, thank you so much for coming on. Very brave to come into our chat and our studio. But I thought you spoke well, and yeah, I would say good luck, but I would not mean it. So bad luck for the rest of the season.
That's the same with me, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, get that shirt out of the studio ASAP. But thank you for coming on, and everyone get in the Discord now to get your calls in and call into us. Let us know your opinions. Amrabat permanent deal. Paul Scholes were kind of saying that he shouldn't be playing midweek. Is Paul Scholes right on that? Also, all this stuff surrounding David De Gea. I had my notifications going wild last night. I looked at Twitter and I saw David De Gea's coming back. I thought, can God not give me a day off? I've just had Onana saving a penalty. Surely not De Gea's coming back. And thankfully, Sam did the research in it, and apparently it's not true. But David De Gea did just put out a cryptic tweet with a little kind of question emoji. So get in your comments, would you want to bring David De Gea back? I'm sure a lot of you guys would. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Also talking about the derby, who would be in your starting 11, what forward players should play, should Erik ten Hag play Eriksen? We want to hear it. The chill spot as well is just coming into the super chat. Guys, I know a lot of you don't want to hear what City fans have to say, but it's about getting different diversity onto the channel and talking from different angles, and that's what we're going to do here. We're not just always a one-sided, closed-door policy. It is an open-door policy, and we want to have the discussion. We want to have the debate. So thank you, Luke, for coming on and doing that. But let's get the first caller into the show. So our first caller is Ben, and he wants to talk about Bruno being out of position. Faz, I'm sure you'll have a field day with this.
Yes. Can you hear me? Hello?
Hello.
Is he on the line?
Hello, Ben.
Ben, thank you for joining.
Hey, guys.
Bruno
Thanks
Fernandes.
for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Ben, Bruno Fernandes out of position. Do you think, so what is your angle here? Are you saying that the manager is constantly making the wrong decision? Or are you saying Bruno is out of position, that's why he's not playing well?
So my issue is I think Bruno playing on the right wing does not work. I think Bruno playing in the 8 doesn't work. Bruno's best position is at 10.
Okay.
He was the Premier League's statistically top creator. And when Ten Hag takes him out of the middle of the park and plays him somewhere else, our creation falls off a cliff. And it's like he's not even in the team. So I just think that Ten Hag needs to play him at 10 and let him be the creator.
Okay. Well, you say that he's not a decent enough right winger, but how come your manager says in press conference that he is?
Ten Hag says a lot of things, but when we watch the games with our eyes, like he's not a right winger. He's a 10. Where do you think his best position is? 5?
8. Before he joined Manchester United, majority of his best performances came from when he played in the 8. And the chance creation perspective, I understand, I get it, but one of his bread and butter is basically able to distribute the ball from deep, really. And the intricate passing, I think, comes better from Eriksen than him. Eriksen's crossing as well is a lot better, I believe. And I think Beth was saying it in the last game that Eriksen should be taking the set pieces, not Bruno Fernandes. His set pieces hasn't been good as well. Bruno's shooting hasn't been that good as well recently, in the recent season. So considering all of that, I think 8 would be good. And also because Bruno has so much energy. Because he has so much more energy, he almost, I feel like he's out of position a lot when he plays in higher up on the pitch. Whereas if he plays in the 8, he can help out the 6 and help out the midfield quite a bit more. So that's why I would say the 8 instead.
I do agree. Who would you guys rather have at 10 then?
Eriksen?
I would have Mount.
Eriksen or Mount, yeah.
I would have Mount personally.
on.
Manchester City with super chatting Man United fans humbling coming for you on Sunday. Luke's got off the show and he's got on his account. I think he might be sending that in. I don't know who it is, but look, Ben. I mean, you talk about Bruno being played out of position there, and you're talking about how detrimental that can be for the team. How important do you think Bruno Fernandes is when he's playing in his best position, which you would say is central midfield?
I think he's one of our absolute 1 or 2 top most important players in the team. His leadership, his drive, his abilities on the ball to create for everyone else. Last year, he was playing with Weghorst up front, right? Like this year, we finally have Højlund in, and I just want to see a run of games where he's able to take control at 10 and be able to create chances. I just think we haven't seen it enough yet. I would like to see him and Mount in there together at this point. I don't understand why Mount has been dropped. So
yeah,
I think
I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that one, Ben. I'm with you on that one. Thank you so much for calling up and having your opinion. Thank you for calling in, and hopefully we can see this top-class Bruno that he's talking about on Sunday, because we've not seen it for a while. I love Bruno, but we need to see him back on
I'm
form,
very
don't
surprised you put Mason Mount in the 10 as our best 10. Very surprised.
No, I think I'd have Bruno over Mount, but I'm saying if Bruno's playing in the 8, then I'd play 10 there.
But Mason's
I'd
barely
Mount
played
there.
any minutes for Manchester United. How can you even say?
Eriksen's not played 10 for Man United. He doesn't play 10 for Man United.
He doesn't, but he has.
What? I can't remember a game where he has. He might have played it once.
I'll have to go back and look
He
at
might have
the
played it
archive,
once,
but I'm
Eriksen
sure
doesn't
he
play 10
has.
for United. He plays 8. Ten
True,
Hag plays
majority
an
of the time, but I'm sure he's played the 10.
I think Bruno Fernandes is our best 10. But if Bruno Fernandes was playing as an 8, I would have Mount as a 10. I think Eriksen's, for the press that Erik ten Hag desires and wants, I think Eriksen is better playing as a deeper player in this system. I like Eriksen a lot, but I wouldn't play him as a 10. I know that's controversial because a lot of people a lot of you guys would want to play Eriksen in the 10, but I think there's a reason why Erik ten Hag always plays him deeper. I think he's better from there, spreading passes, keeping the possession. I think it works well. But let's get our next caller in. Adam wants to talk about the midfield balance. I'll ask you, Adam, if you're with us. Looks like Amrabat is on the verge of getting a permanent move to Manchester United. Is that the right decision, seen as a lot of people say he's been quite underwhelming so far? I personally just don't think he's maybe been given as much time in a functioning team yet. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah, what do I think of the move? I think it's too early to decide whether we should give him a permanent deal or not. His performances haven't been the greatest, but they haven't been the best. He's been played out of position a few times, left back. And I think the midfield balance it hasn't been the best, so I can't really judge him at this moment of time.
Can I ask you then, Adam, our midfield, right, is the one area of the team that is absolutely stacked. There's players upon players upon players in there. And yet the manager is struggling to find a balance. Why do you think that is?
I think he doesn't really know what his best midfield is, or he either doesn't want to drop certain players from that midfield, such as Bruno, who aren't performing, who make the midfield open due to him being erratic, just running around anywhere he wants. And that's why I think the midfield is unbalanced.
So do you think he's, with the signings of Mason Mount and Sofian Amrabat, do you think he's almost made the midfield a bit more unbalanced? Bless you.
Sorry, thank you.
Do you think he's made the midfield more unbalanced? Because last season it seemed balanced enough for us to come third.
Yeah, for me, I don't really get the signing Mason Mount. Mason Mount might be a good player. However, if you're not going to play him in the number 10 position, which he doesn't want to do, then why have you brought him? He's not a number 8. Yeah, he's a number 10. And if you're not going to play him in Bruno's position, then you wasted £60 million where it could have been, you spent better.
Okay. All right, Beth?
I mean, I can understand the point of view he's coming from. I would ask you then directly, what would be your midfield 3 against City in the derby?
Casemiro, is he back?
Casemiro's back, yeah.
Okay, Casemiro, Amrabat, Mount.
I like it. That's exactly the midfield I'd go with as well. But thank you for calling up and having your say. We'll see what Erik ten Hag does on the weekend. If you disagree with that, make sure you call in and let us know.
Amrabat and Mount.
Would you not go with that?
And who's on the right, Bruno?
Oh, sorry, no. I would go with Casemiro, Amrabat and Bruno and Mount on the right. That's why I got confused. What would you go with?
Casemiro, Eriksen and Bruno. Go back to the midfield that worked.
I know. Do you not think you need a little bit more defensive cover in there?
Or Casemiro, Amrabat, Bruno.
Casemiro, Amrabat and Bruno.
Yeah.
That's what I would go with.
Yeah.
Would you play Mount on the right or Anthony?
Only Eriksen, because he's actually been doing well. But then you can get more football in the second half and
that's what I mean.
swaps.
I would do Eriksen for that role that he's been doing good at. If he was any other opposition, I would say bring Eriksen in. But for City, you're going to need them legs in the midfield. Jake Marshall says, honest opinion on the manager. I notice you call him your manager and not our manager. Are you convinced, or do you think he's up for it? I think that's
Thank you very much, Jake, for the super chat, Jake. With all honesty, I'm not happy with the manager at all. I don't want the manager out, but I need him to get answers as soon as possible. I've said this before and I'll say it again. It's his job to get me as a fan to buy in to his football. I can't blindly back him. And he's had his players, but it seems like we're regressing, not progressing. And even if we don't progress, even if we stay the same as last season, then at least I can say, you know what, it's okay. We'll build from this, but we're not building anything. And every game in, game out is just hit and hope FC. And the most important thing is we should keep the same energy as we kept with Jose Mourinho, as we kept with Ole Gunnar. And Ole, obviously, at the end, it was really bad, but especially the energy that we had for Jose Mourinho, we should keep the same for this manager, especially someone who's never won the Champions League before. Manchester City says you need to be on your best to stop Alvarez. Sneaky Deal says we need box-to-box midfielders. We don't have any. Minus Bruno, maybe huge gaps. We rely on our wingers way too much. No movement and we spread to the sidelines. I agree that we need proper box-to-box midfielders that are top level. I don't think we really have any. Jake Marshall says, honest opinion on the manager. I notice you
I've done that one. Anything else I need to catch up on? That is it. I just wanted to bring something quickly onto the show before we move on to the next caller, which I think is absolutely crazy. It's coming in now from Ty Marshall at the MEN that Alejandro Garnacho could face disciplinary action over a social media post in which he used gorilla emojis over a picture of Andre Onana and Maguire to basically celebrate the win. It's a picture of him, Maguire, and Onana, and he's used two gorillas as in, he means is obviously a mentality, like monsters, but he's now deleted the post after being advised of the potential racial connotations involved, but the FA is aware of it and could charge him. What do you think about that, Faz?
Yeah, I can see the angle that the FA can come from, and I can understand. But I can also understand from a player to player. It's just you know, players compliment each other. It's like, oh, you're a lion, you know, whatever. It's like that. So.
For me,
I don't look at it in a harmful way at all.
For me personally, obviously you can understand where the connotations come from, but
context.
there's no way that Onana has done that purposefully. He's done it. It's not Onana, sorry. There's no way that Garnacho has done that purposely.
Silly.
To, you know, post it to mean any sort of way.
Of course.
So, I mean, if there was intent there, you would understand. But, I mean, I think it'd be crazy if you got banned over that.
I totally understand where he's got, but I'm not even gonna. With no disrespect, I'm not even gonna give it airtime because people are just gonna stretch it out, and we don't need that right now. And I hope the FA can understand the context behind it more than anything, because it's just players complimenting players.
I think it'd be.
It's like saying you're a beast. Some people could say, "Oh my God, you called me a beast," but then you know it's the context.
It's like there's no intention whatsoever.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll move on to our next caller. Get in the comments what you guys think. Andrew says wants to talk about the attacking options for the weekend. This will be interesting. I don't think anyone can decide. But Andrew, are you with us?
Yes, hello. How are you guys doing?
I'm good, thank you, Andrew. Thank you for joining us. So let's start off. What front three would you go with for the weekend against City?
Yeah, and I think it's a good topic too, just segueing from what we were just talking about with the midfield, which I think there's a lot of questions with what the manager may choose this weekend and what we might choose as fans. So, you know, I'll kind of give that flavor of my answer too with the attacking options as well. And I'd love to hear from you guys as well, because I think there's probably some variance between what Erik ten Hag will go with and what the fan base may want as those options. Personally, I want my boy Pellistri to be given a shot. I think this is a game for him.
Wow.
For the other two, like,
wow.
You know, I'll go with you know, the obvious answers or what you guys decide as a team. But I just really love this player. I think there's such a player there, and I just think like games like this, everyone just kind of rises to the occasion. And I think the fans, the team, like we need kind of an injection of something to give us a little bit of momentum. And I think this kid is the wild card a little bit. So that's my thoughts. You know, I'll let you guys kind of take it from there with who you take in the center and, you know, off the right, off the left. But yeah, I really want to see Pellistri in this game at some point.
But he's not played in such a long time for Manchester United.
I mean, I can understand why you would want him to play, but I don't think there's I don't think even there's a 1% chance.
That's fine, but you know, I personally just love this player, and I think there's a really good player there, and I think this is a game for him to score. So I want to see the kid. Give him a chance.
I really like that you're coming on being bold with your opinions, and I think a lot of people would understand why. I think Pellistri looks good, and I don't think he took his opportunity as well as he maybe could have when he did get that little run, but I definitely think he should be getting more game time than what he's getting. I mean, you talk about leaving it up to us for the striker and the left winger. There's a lot of talk about Rashford at the moment, whether he should play this game because of his form. Do you think he has to play? Counter-attacks his bread and butter. Would you play him?
You got to give him time on the pitch. You probably do have to start him, but I really think he's on a short leash. He needs to be on a short leash. Garnacho is a real player as well. Every time this kid comes on the pitch, something happens. So, you know, if Marcus doesn't understand that, like there's something that's going on behind the scenes, because his body language and just, you know, some of his football play is just so poor. Like anyone that plays football, like when he runs and gives away the ball, he just immediately gives up. He's not getting back defensively right away. You just see those little things. You're playing for Manchester United. So yeah, I just think like he's probably going to be playing, and I really do hope he scores. Honestly, I hope he scores a hat trick, and I do fancy him to probably score. If he depends on the type of Marcus Rashford we see, though. It really depends on the type of body language he brings in, and that's not consistent.
Andrew,
regardless
lastly,
of what you think of Marcus Rashford, his body language and his play is not consistent.
let me ask you lastly,
Yes,
Højlund or Martial?
Højlund. Yeah, that's my guy right there.
Okay,
I
why?
honestly, yeah. So
But he's not scored in the Premier League yet. And Martial's more probably likely to score. He loves scoring against big teams, doesn't he?
He's got a good track record against City.
Especially, yeah. Done a good job last season.
My opinion with Anthony Martial is, there is a footballer there, but this guy left the team and wanted a loan out to Sevilla during one of our worst times ever as a football club in recent memory. And regardless of what he thought or you thought of Ralph Rangnick, he really did turn his back, I believe, on us as a Manchester United and wanted to leave. And he thought that he could go to Sevilla and light it up and get a sick move away from the club. And it didn't happen. So people kind of forget that about him a little bit. I personally, I love him as a player, but that always just kind of irked me that if you go back to when he left us at a really tough time when we really needed some attacking support. And I just
okay.
No, that's interesting, especially.
Rasmus.
Okay.
Rasmus.
That's
interesting
okay.
because I remember Rangnick wanted him to stay and tried to get him to stay, and he went. So that's a really interesting point, Andrew. Thank you for calling in. And I mean, I don't think we will see that front three, but I'd like to see it. So thank you for calling in. TJ says, meaning of the message is what matters. Thank you for your super chat. Martial on the left wing. I mean, what would you make of that? I would be down.
Well, not on a counter-attacking system, though.
True. Rashford has to play this game purely for the counter-attack, because that is his bread and butter and you expect to see it from him. I think this is the game what you're expecting to turn up. I wanted to talk to you a little bit before I bring the next caller in, Faz, about the revenues that have been put out from Manchester United. So Man United have released their latest financial results, record full year revenues of 648.4 million with no dividends paid to the Glazers. Credit to Rob Dawson at ESPN for providing us with that. But what are your thoughts on that?
The organisation keeps making silly amounts of money, and how it's being spent and where it's going is the biggest question of it all.
Record year.
Yeah,
crazy,
record year as well. But it tells you, what the most funniest thing is, it tells you we can do this without actually winning anything.
Imagine if United were winning.
Yeah, but that would mean if Man United were winning, the money would be more. But I think this is the level where the Glazers are just very, very happy and comfortable. And because it's a record-breaking revenue, is probably one of the reasons why they didn't want to let Sheikh Jassim take over as well. Unless Sheikh Jassim was going to offer a ridiculous amount of money. They weren't going to, because year in, year out, Manchester United are not winning anything and performing so poorly and yet still making so much money. So which owner in the right mind is going to want to leave? And I guess coming third is okay for the Glazers, right?
I think that turnover there that we've made and the money, that it is a record year, £648.4 million, I think shows exactly why full sale isn't happening.
Exactly that.
Because
exactly that.
They are making money no matter what. We had the protest. We had the Liverpool protest where the game got called off. We're still making nearly £650 million a year. And I know Sir Jim Ratcliffe came out. Well, he didn't came out, but sources close to Sir Jim Ratcliffe were talking about how if Sir Jim Ratcliffe comes, it's not for money motivation. His company Ineos makes billions per year, multi-billions. No disrespect to Man United, but 650 million is like kind of nothing to them. They're in it for the love of the football, which you would like to believe. But the Glazers are sticking around because they know there's more profit to be made, I think, on this club.
Yeah, it's funny that they didn't take any dividends, though. They didn't take any dividends, but I do remember there was a 1.7 million paid to someone, non-employee benefit, something along those lines, where someone was paid up for a certain amount of shares or something.
One Puggy says that's not profit, Beth. I'm not saying it is profit, but we've still
made money.
We've made that amount of money in a year. That's
the
revenue.
But we're also in
That's
debt.
That's the revenue. I know it's not profit. I know there's a lot of debt still there.
But yes, there was a funny bit of information in the report. 1.7 odd million was paid to a certain someone who isn't an employee. And the rumour is it was Ed Woodward. It was Ed Woodward. I don't know. I'm still doing my research on it.
That's just rumours, isn't it? That's not anything confirmed, but it's interesting. Manchester City says Stones, Walker, Diaz, Silva, Rodri,
Haaland.
Rez? Who's Rez?
I don't know.
Haaland, easy. I mean, Okay, thank you. Manchester City getting a lot of their super chats in today. I mean, it'll be interesting to see who City actually line up with, whether it'll be Grealish, whether it'll be Doku. Alvarez, I think, could cause problems in midfield. But watch our preview for the Man City stuff.
Oh, I think he means Alvarez by Red.
Yeah, he means Alvarez. He means Alvarez. Glenny Boy says revenue might be there, but we made a 40 mil loss. Exactly. Like we're still in debt. We're definitely still in debt. But the fact is, it was a record year for revenue for Manchester United. With investment, the Glazers will be thinking there is more to be made from Manchester United, and the value of the club could eventually go up with the Club World Cup, with all these things coming in. That is why they're still at the club. Unfortunately for us, I want them out. I want a full sale, but this is why it's happening. But let's move on to our next caller. Our next caller is Mike. Players not performing to the Premier League standard. I also want to bring in a little bit about the Jadon Sancho stuff on this caller as well that's been happening. But Mike, are you with us? Mike, you there with us? Mike, I don't think he's coming through, so we're going to be moving on to Mass, talking about Bruno's leadership. But first of all, Faz, the Jadon Sancho stuff, I saw your tweet saying he shouldn't be treated like this. For anyone who's not seen, Jadon Sancho is not allowed in Manchester United's senior facilities and therefore parks his car near the academy building and gets ready there. While changing into the training gear, he has to lock himself inside the academy dressing room, ensuring he does not inadvertently mix with any underage players. He also has his lunch sent across to him in a lunchbox. I mean, this is high level
punishment,
exile here. What are your thoughts on it?
Something's clearly happened behind the scenes between him and the manager and the club. Something has happened where the club is allowing a player or a massive asset as such to be treated the way I've heard some very, very funny stories about players being treated in clubs by clubs in awkward ways. But I've never come across in scenarios like this where they're being made to told you can't go to the cafeteria, you can't go to the canteen, and you've got to have your food in a room in a box. That's not acceptable. I am totally okay that Jadon Sancho is in the wrong. I am totally okay that Jadon needs to apologise and the manager is the one in charge. I get that. But you don't treat a person like that because they didn't apologise to you, because they called out something that they felt like wasn't correct. Yes, he was late. Yes, he has attitude issues. But you're making it out like, on the other hand, Cristiano Ronaldo walked off the pitch. Ronaldo walked off the pitch. Jadon Sancho put a tweet out. He put a tweet. Cristiano Ronaldo walked off Old Trafford, went home. You had players that went home, by the way, don't forget. You had players that went home. Do you know how mad that is? Just took their stuff and went home, and you're treating Jadon Sancho like this. This is not, I'll be honest, this is not acceptable. And I'm sure the Footballers Union or someone will get involved, or the league will get involved. And most importantly, the treatment of this is, it's making us look like an absolute mess of an organisation. I'm
going to be honest, I do think it is a little bit far.
It is.
I really do.
A little bit.
I really do. But at the same time, Sancho could have resolved all this by saying sorry. Ronaldo put a statement out literally the next day apologising.
Sure.
And, as well, you've got to think about there is credit in the bank that you have. And I think Jadon Sancho is on his last cent of credit in the bank, seriously. Not only has he not performed for 3 years, but Ten Hag give him half of a season off.
Sure.
And of course, I know there's reasons behind that, but your patience only runs so far with someone. If you just keep taking water out of the fountain, there's going to be nothing left, and it's going to run dry. And that's like with Erik Ten Hag. I think he's kept giving Sancho the benefit of the doubt. We heard this was going on for a very long time, and then he's just absolutely lost it. The fact is, Sancho's then turned on him in public. He obviously feels hurt. He feels let down. He feels betrayed. He's given still the option to apologise. He's not done it. Sancho wouldn't have to be training in the academy. He wouldn't be having to be having his lunch in a box if he actually just apologised. I still think it's too far. But I also think it could have been easily resolved.
It's just funny because when Jadon Sancho was performing in pre-seasons and when he was having cameos, the Manchester United fan base were like, Jadon is back, yay. Jadon is back, let him cook, let's wait on him. He's finally scored against Liverpool, he's going to do this, that, the other. And once the manager called out his stuff and Jadon went and had came back at him, the whole fan base now wants Jadon crucified. We just don't know the full story.
Well, I'm not being funny. I've spoken about it in the Colin show before, so I don't want to go over it again. People are getting very carried away in pre-season, I can't lie, but that does happen a lot. But we have a caller on the line, Mass. Mass is back. Bruno's leadership. Mass, first of all, I mean, I think we spoke to you about Sancho last time, so yeah, we'll move on. We'll move on to Bruno's leadership. We'll put a pin in the Sancho story. Honestly, I'm bored of it. He's not going to play on Sunday. Let's move on to something that really does matter. And Bruno has been questioned over his leadership and over his performances. Mass, what did you want to say on this topic?
Yeah, hello, Beth. Yeah, what I wanted to say about Bruno is I'm not happy with his leadership. Honestly, I wasn't happy last season as well. I don't like Maguire was the club captain last season, but really Bruno was the captain because Maguire hardly played. I like, for example, we lost 7-0 to Liverpool last season. Bruno was the captain, and he put on a horrendous performance. I'm not happy with Bruno as captain. I think we should have given the captaincy to Casemiro, and I think Varane should have been vice captain.
Interesting stuff. I mean, Faz, what do you make of that?
Yeah, I agree.
I don't agree.
Captaincy, but then Casemiro would be scheduled to leave this coming summer. I have a feeling, anyways, that Casemiro's going to leave. But if Erik ten Hag can give captaincy to a player who's majority of the time on the bench, why can he not give the captaincy to Rafa Varane or Casemiro?
The reason why I would disagree with you is because by the way, if Varane was fit 100% of the time, or I don't know, 90% of the time, I would be all for giving Varane the captaincy. I think Varane would be a good captain. I think he leads by example. I think he leads the back line. I think he's a great player. But the problem for me is I don't want a captain who's injured one week, fit the next, injured again, fit the next. You want a captain to be consistent. So that's why Varane's ruled out. And with Casemiro, again, another good option. But I think the reason why he might have been ruled out a little bit as well is because I don't think he can speak English properly yet. And a lot of the squad are English speaking. And you want someone who's going to be able to communicate with the full squad. Bruno's been here for a number of years now. He's a senior player. He's very well respected inside the club. We know that from sources in and around the club. Apparently, he's a brilliant captain behind the scenes, brilliant with the youth players. I think people are very harsh on his criticism purely because of his antics with the referee, which realistically, a lot of the times actually does end up getting us decisions.
But
but still, his performances haven't warranted him being a captain as well.
Yeah.
But Casemiro's not been good so far this season yet. You said you could give him the captaincy.
True, Casemiro's not been good this season, but I'm talking...
No one's been good this season.
But he was given the captain's... Yeah, true.
And that's not an excuse. Bruno should be doing better, but I'm just saying, I think people people are always trying to find someone to blame, and I think a lot of the blame is going on Bruno now, and we've got to look at the team as a whole.
I think Varane would have been the safest bet other than Bruno.
Varane, I would have loved Varane to be captain, but Varane is injured. That's the issue we have.
Long term, guys, I think Dalot should be the captain long term.
Dalot.
I love you. I love you. You are my favourite caller of all time. I swear to my mother's life, I was thinking this last night. I swear to God, after I saw the video back of Dalot celebrating with Onana from the saves and the penalty, I was like, this is what you call a captain. He celebrates everything.
I mean, Mass, I'll let you talk about it. Explain yourself, Mass.
Oh, I love you so much.
Honestly, long-term Dalot, because Dalot ability, I think he's got great ability. I think he's a special talent in terms of fullback. I think he's got everything to go to the top of the game. And number two, I just think he's a natural leader. Like you just see it. He has this aura about him. I don't think Bruno. Number one, I don't think Bruno his ability warrants being the captain, and I don't think and also I just don't think he has that aura about him. I think Dalot just has this absolute aura. Even last season, when we had the best clean sheets in the league. Like you saw that back four, Dalot with with De Gea, with Varane, Martinez, they'd all be fist pumping each other. Every time they make a tackle, I just feel like Dalot has something special. So I see Dalot as the long-term captain.
I really do like Diogo Dalot. He's a lovely guy. He's the one player that every time with the fans are there, he goes to every single fan, takes a picture, signs stuff. He's so good with the fan base. He's honestly a lovely guy, and I think in the future, considering I think he's only 24, I think he could be captaincy worthy. I also think it holds a lot of weight when Ronaldo's done an interview, which a lot of people question the interview, but he said the only player at Man United who has the ability to reach the top, I think he said was Diogo Dalot because of his mentality. Follows Ronaldo, tries to kind of replicate the methods he does off the pitch to reach that level of success. I think the only thing that would be holding Dalot back is realistically, how can you be captain if you can't even hold down your position? And he's not been able to hold it down. Wan-Bissaka came back in for him. He was brilliant at the start of last season.
But Wan-Bissaka came in why? Was injured.
Injury, and then couldn't get back into the team. As a captain of Man United, you need to be able to hold it down. But I definitely think for the future, not for the now, but for the future, he's someone that I would love to progress, and I think he's got a big future ahead of him.
No, definitely. And also, another thing I wanted to bring up, guys, and I think Ricky made a great point on one of the fan forums. I do think he has a point about, so with Bruno, it's like we keep bringing in these midfielders. We always talk about midfield not working, the midfield not working. But honestly, I honestly believe that Bruno Fernandes, I don't think he can function in the midfield. Like I say, he's more of a second striker. For United, anytime he's been good, that's why Oli, he played McFred. The reason why he played McFred was he had two midfielders that had great athleticism, that had legs, so that, you know, the midfield wouldn't be exposed as much. So I think Bruno, I don't think he can function in midfield 3. I don't think he can play as number 8. I think he's more of a support striker. And I think that's going to, for us to become an elite team, I think that's always going to be an issue, because I think to become an elite team, I think you have to have a midfield 3 minimum.
Interesting point. He obviously plays in midfield for Portugal. I know he's played on the right quite a lot as well, but is it different there?
With Portugal, I think with Portugal, I'm not really watching much of Portugal's match. I know he was all right. He was pretty good at the World Cup.
International hype. I'm tired of hearing it.
It's different to club football.
But you got to remember, Portugal, they lost to Morocco. So I don't, group stages, he might have played well. But I think I'm talking about if United want to go to elite level, if we want to get back to where we want to be, I think Bruno, I don't think he can function in the midfield.
Thank you very much. Yeah, honestly, you're 100%. I agree with you. 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah,
you just saw Copenhagen midfielders walk past our team. You saw Crystal Palace do that. You saw Wolves do that. You saw Brentford do that. You saw Brighton do that. You saw Spurs do that. Our midfield gets walked through from players that are not even some would say they're not even £50 million worth.
I think he can play in the midfield 3, obviously, but I do think it has been a weakness for us for quite a while now, and I do think there needs to be improvements for sure. And I think you make a really good point as well.
Yeah, just one more thing, Beth, as well. And I think Mason Mount has been on the bench because this is the thing with Ten Hag making Bruno captain. He's put a rod on his back. He can't. So he's realised Mason Mount and Bruno cannot play the same midfield. So now that's why Mason Mount's been on the bench, because he can't drop Bruno. And like I said, Bruno, you always need to have 2 very defensive-minded midfielders behind him. But even then, the midfield will still get exposed. But I think that reduced the risk. When you have 2 midfielders, like when Oli had Fred and McTominay. The other day, Ten Hag had Amrabat and McTominay. So I think that reduced the risk. But even then, it's not good enough. So yeah, Mason Mount, like the signing now, it's looking like, it doesn't make sense. Why say Mason Mount if you're going to make Bruno captain?
Can I ask you something else then, Mas? How come the midfield of Casemiro, Eriksen and Bruno had the success rate he did last season? I think they went on like a 15-game run where they were unbeaten, that midfield, and I wouldn't really say Eriksen's a defensive-minded, athletic midfielder behind Bruno, but that was successful.
I mean, I think it was good. I don't think it was massive. I don't think it was like successful. I think it was good because last season, remember, we did take some heavy beatings. City 6-3, Liverpool 7-0. So I think
that team didn't. That midfield didn't set up for City.
Oh, okay, but then my bad. But no, with Eriksen, I think the thing with Eriksen was last season. First off, last season, Eriksen had legs. I think he had more legs. I think now he's
I don't think he did.
No, I think he after the injury. He lost something after the injury. I think
he did. He lost a bit after the injury for sure. But I don't think he was ever that player that was like had loads of legs for the midfield.
No, definitely. But what I mean is like. That's why second half of the season, the midfield became more of a problem because first half of the season, Eriksen could keep up somewhat. But I think, it's a game of margins, this elite level, football. So, like, losing 2 or 3% can massively make a massive difference.
Do you not also think as well, it's like Casemiro's also dropped off?
Casemiro, this season physically he's dropped off. And another thing as well, Eriksen, with last season it worked because Eriksen, he could get his foot on the ball. That's the thing with Eriksen, he could dictate play. That's another thing with Eriksen. He played... Eriksen, if he played for Man City, we'd be singing his praises. Because Eriksen can get on the ball and he can dictate play. You know,
Eriksen's been very good the last few games.
Mas, yeah.
He's been very good.
very
Mas,
right.
thank you so much for calling up.
Make
Brilliant
sure,
call,
Mas,
as always.
Drop me a DM.
Yeah.
I want to speak to you personally.
Mas has been on
1-to-1.
our spaces as well. I really like him. He puts
like
his
him a
points
lot.
across really well. Thank you, Mas, for calling in. And he speaks about the Bruno needing them two combative midfielders behind him. So our midfield of Casemiro, Amrabat and Bruno, hopefully, to City, I'd like to see.
You would need the legs, and that's what Amrabat would give you, and Bruno. So you
Chris
need to lock
says-
it up. Yeah, lock up the shop.
Chris with the super chat says Laurie Whittle said today that Ten Hag asked Sancho to do certain drills in training ahead of the Arsenal game, but he refused because he knew he wasn't starting. Yeah, we've seen that as well. Again, just not okay. Not okay. Who do you think you are?
I think I'm Jadon Sancho.
But some really,
I'm face of Nike.
some
I
really
was on
good.
the FIFA cover. You bought me for 80 million, was
And
it?
I've done nothing for 3 years.
And you gave me the biggest contract for my age.
And he's done nothing to back it up, Faz.
Well,
How do you support players
I
like
know,
Sancho,
I don't.
but then rinse
That's-
Bruno every week? He
I
gives
am
his
s-
all on the pitch, and you say you rinse...
Elizabeth, I'm not backing him. I'm telling you what he thinks.
Okay. I mean, I don't think anyone should have to eat the lunch out of a box that gets hand delivered to them from the other training
Dad,
ground.
come on.
And you know, changing on your own. in the
Don't be
changing room.
surprised now if
I
he
get
says
it.
I'm not turning up to Campton
I
anymore.
get it. Like, that is a bit too far, but you did it to yourself. I'm sorry, but anyway, Elizabeth. Faisal.
Sometimes I have to get your attention. Yeah, sometimes I get your
anyway,
attention like that.
Let's get the next caller on. I thought it was my... even my parents don't call me Elizabeth. But let's get the next caller on. Hamza, team for the United versus City game. Again, it could be anything at the moment with the way Man United are playing. Hamza, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm with you. Hi, everybody. I hope you're all doing well.
Hello, thank you for joining. Always good to have you on. So take us through your team then for the game.
It's actually really complicated now this time because we're playing absolutely terrible. Let's be completely honest with ourselves. We're absolutely crap. We're championing people we want to get rid of. So we're a bit of a crisis, going through it at the moment. But we're getting results, which is something to be really positive about. So I would actually play. I've heard a lot of people don't want to play Casemiro. I actually don't want to play McTominay even though he scored because, even though people think that he had good performance, stuff like that, I think he was a bit good, not bad. But I think McTominay is the reason why Amrabat and Casemiro have played terrible, and Bruno as well, because last time when Casemiro played, he got taken off the second half, and people said he was crap and stuff like that. The same thing happened with Amrabat, and both of them played next to McTominay. I think McTominay is the one affecting the performances of both of them. Yet McTominay is also not playing in the level that we need. So I think the midfield. I think the chemistry in the midfield is the problem. I think if we play Casemiro, Amrabat, we get more energy. Now I would a bit of controversial, but I would actually start Mason Mount.
Just quickly, Hamza, just quickly, sorry to stop you there, just very quickly. You would start Casemiro and Amrabat, but who's going to be the one dictating the game?
Yeah, that was just going to be my point. I think Bruno would perform a lot better with them because...
But does it not create more workload for Bruno?
Excuse me?
Does it not create more workload for Bruno, trying to create the passes, trying to make sure he gets the passes across to the forward line, to the wingers, where you have Eriksen in there instead, who can also share the passing duties from Bruno? And you don't have Casemiro hoofing the ball.
But that's his job.
Roy Keane.
It's basically Bruno's job. It's basically Bruno's job. He wants to run. He wants to create. I think he's been punished with McTominay being next to him. I think people are sleeping on this.
Ricky would go crazy.
Because this is... Yeah, I know he's going to go crazy. I felt really bad for you that time.
Hamza, I'll get Ricky to listen to this and I'll get him to send you a voice note. He'd love to. He would honestly love to.
No. Please don't.
But Hamza, I do get your point because with McTominay, he's scored some good goals, but it's clearly the way Erik Ten Hag's telling him to play. He's playing very high up the pitch. And you are right in the sense it is kind of the common denominator. And also, with that game, I thought people were really harsh on Amrabat when, realistically, there was a line of like 5 or 6 players all across the front line with little movement. And then Amrabat on his own with like 4 midfielders around him. What is he generally supposed to do? He's supposed to collect the ball, dribble past like 4 players and then move it into the final third, like all by himself. I do think you have a point.
Some players that can do that.
And it's not the fact necessarily that McTominay is poor, and I don't think he's a great player, but I think it's the position he's being told to play so high up the pitch. There's no support at all. But go on, Hamza.
Yeah. So
but you said you'd play Mount, didn't you?
I would start. Yeah, I would start Mount on the right. I think Anthony has been rubbish. I think he needs to be dropped 100%.
With you on that.
So I think I would play Mount because he's a bit more creative player than Anthony. At the moment, I think, like, I don't know what's wrong. He's benched him 2 games. I think something's happening there. I don't know what it is. But I would start Mount on the right, Casemiro and Amrabat and Bruno. But I think he's playing McTominay because I think when he talks in the press conferences and stuff like that, he always keeps talking about the effort off the ball and the positioning and stuff like that. I don't know if I'm living in cuckoo land or something, but like I don't know what McTominay offers, to be honest. Like, he doesn't offer defensively anything because Amrabat is being destroyed the same as Casemiro. So I think, like, I don't know what's the plan with McTominay. He scores goals. Like I mean, let's give the guy credit. He scores goals, but I don't see his impact in the game. And as for Eriksen, for people who are saying start him, that's a lot of rubbish. Let me tell you, like, I'm sorry, that's a lot of rubbish. Every time we start him, the guy's tank just goes off in the first 30 minutes or 45 minutes. We cannot just take the risk every single time we play Eriksen. I'm sorry, we just cannot.
I think it's established that Eriksen is a second-half player.
I like it as well.
Yeah, he's a second-half player.
I completely agree with you in the sense of I'm really liking the role that he's playing, and it is affecting our games, and it's helping us win games, and it's been a lot more beneficial. Hamza, we are running out of time, so we're going to have to get somebody else on, but thank you so much for calling in and some very good points.
Yeah,
I have you on Twitter. I'll get Ricky to send a voice note over about the McTominay stuff, but I'm with you on it, and I agree, and I would play that exact midfield with Mount on the right, so we're in agreement with that. Next caller, last one that we have time for, we've got James. James, are you with us?
How are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, I am with you. So, first of all, congratulations are in order.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I just want to say love you to Courtney, and hopefully I'll see you and Arlo soon.
Yes, his sister, James's sister, has given birth to a nephew, so that is brilliant stuff. So shout out to her on the show, and hopefully a long and happy life.
That's our Project Rashford 2.0.
I mean, we can ask James about all that kind of stuff, but James, you talking about Copenhagen and how we're celebrating that kind of win, but realistically the performance wasn't great. What did you want to touch on? I mean, if we play that way in the derby, we're going to get battered, to be honest with you. We've got to change our system. So how does Erik ten Hag approach it?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's exactly my point that you said there, enjoy it. Harry Maguire scoring, redemption, Onana saving a penalty, brilliant, right? We can enjoy that. But if you're looking into the future, good teams are going to destroy us, right? Some of the chances that we messed up going up the wing, going through the middle, big teams are going to destroy us, and that's not a debate in my opinion. Copenhagen missed quite a few chances, and City, Liverpool, Tottenham, they're going to put those away quite easily.
I mean, James, there was rumours about De Gea coming back, and they've been kind of put to the side now. But with Onana made that save against Copenhagen, do you hope that'll give him the confidence coming into the City game? Because I really do think a lot rests on him. If he's going to have shots that he's going to need to save, we are going to get suffocated in around that box. It's so important that he steps up, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think this is probably his biggest game that he's played in the United shirt. The Manchester derby. Every player, no matter how long he's been at the club, wants to make a good impression in the derby. I think it's brilliant for his confidence. You could see how happy the players were with him, at the end with the celebration. So I think that was good for chemistry in general, to end that on a high. But I think it's good for his confidence. I hope it's good for his confidence. But I just, you don't want him to get overconfident, right? You need him to still stay focused and still do the job for us. And if he can do the job for us against City, then I think he'll be a hero in everyone's books.
Let me just ask you as well, James. David De Gea has been lingering about in Manchester, having tea and coffee with his former colleagues. uploading pictures, uploading tweets, doing gaming content with Bruno. Do you think it can have impact on Andre's confidence or just his mental thinking, having your previous goalkeeper just lingering about like a shadow around Manchester, someone who's had the Golden Glove before? Does it add to the pressure, you'd reckon? Because just think if you were Andre Onana and seeing that.
Yeah, well, I actually said it in the chat earlier. I said, "Oh, I'd like De Gea back," and I can't remember their name, but someone replied saying that would unsettle the dressing room, which actually made me second guess myself. I thought, yeah, I think it would be quite horrible. You know, you've replaced De Gea. You know, you've got Onana in who plays Eric Ten Hag ball, which I don't think anyone really knows what that is at the moment. But anyway, you know, playing out from the back, throwing it over. He's good with his feet, good with his hands in terms of passing. And, you know, you got rid of the other guy because he wasn't good enough, apparently. If he's coming back when you're performing low, that is the worst thing that I think could actually happen for Onana. And I think for everyone in general, you know, it's great to keep a relationship, but, you know, it's a big surprise saying goodbye to somebody and 3 months later you needing them back. And I think it will unsettle the dressing room. So I'm against it now.
Yeah, I can understand that, James. I'm going to be honest, I do think, obviously, David De Gea can do what he wants. If he wants to hang out in Manchester, he can. I mean, I don't think that should influence Onana. He's a professional. He's a top professional. I don't think he looks the fact that David De Gea is in Manchester and thinks, oh, God, I've got to perform now. Like, he's played in Champions League finals. I think he knows his place. Eric Ten Hag's brought him in. I do think the tweets are unnecessary.
The tweets are very funny. And David De Gea is a very non-vocal player. He doesn't speak a lot. You know, he keeps himself to himself. But ever since he's left Manchester United, he's been very vocal in terms, not very vocal, but you know, he's had a couple of tweets out, and yeah, someone said it's a psychological warfare, and I do agree.
I mean, I just think
it's a PR stunt. Sorry, I think it's a PR stunt. Right, I think it's just, you know, oh, I'm De Gea, you know, no one wants to sign me at the moment. As far as my knowledge, you know, I might just, you know, remind everybody that I'm here, remind everybody I'm a United legend. You know, I think it's a bit of. And
what if he's at the City game?
Oh, if he's at the City game, mate, honestly.
Just imagine he's at the Derby game.
That'd just be.
That would be horrible.
It wouldn't be the right thing to do. It wouldn't be the right thing to do.
What do you mean? I've won your golden. I've given you a Golden Glove.
I know.
I've won the Premier League here.
In the future, of course.
I've won the Premier League. I can come to the club when I want.
In the future, of course.
I've won the Premier League.
But when Onana's got this pressure on it,
I've won the Premier League. I will come to the club when I want.
The cameras are going to be on there.
What?
Like, why would you do it when
I
you
will
know
come
that?
to the club when I want. I couldn't give a heck of your new bay or new toy of your goalkeeper. I am turning up to the club when I want. I'm a legend. Player of the year, player of the season, Golden Gloves, Premier Leagues, Europa League.
Faz, of course.
You're going to tell me I can't turn up because he's going to be pressure.
David De Gea should be welcomed back at any point in the future. The fact he went to the women's game was brilliant. You know, being in Manchester, this is where he's been for the last decade of his life, hanging out with his friends, of course. And Onana should not be fazed by that. But then, when one game you did turn up, if it would be the derby, when the camera's going to be on you, I just think there's not really much need.
I think he should come now, thinking about it, and he should add the pressure, because being in Manchester United means extreme amount of pressure, and after pressure, diamonds aren't made under pressure.
He's not employed
after
by
pressure
the
comes
club
heat.
anymore. So
after pressure comes heat, and that's what you're supposed to do when you play for Man United. If you can't take a little bit of David De Gea's in the stands, then he shouldn't be playing for Man United.
Well, he's a United legend, right? Undeniably. No one can deny that De Gea is a United legend. But I think if you truly respect the club, you know there's a time and a place. And I think, you know, if he really wants what's best for the club, he'll show up at the right time and at the right place.
That's what I mean. Of course he should be welcomed back whenever he wants, but from his point of view, you know what that's going to cause.
I hope David De Gea turns up.
You know what that's going to cause, though.
I hope.
You know what that's going to cause.
Don't care.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Don't care. And I hope Andre Onana has a fantastic performance as well.
Well, he shouldn't be fazed by that anyway, because, you know, to play Man United, he's got to have a proper strong mentality, so that shouldn't be fazed by
If Onana can say in public, everybody should hold me accountable, then he should perform on the pitch, regardless of who the hell is on the stadium.
He probably won't be at the derby anyway, but imagine if he is. I have got
I don't want to think about it.
I mean, lastly, James, I'll ask you lastly, for Manchester City, tell me your midfield three and your front three as well.
My midfield three, I'd go with... Sorry, Casemiro's back, isn't he?
Casemiro's back, yes.
I'd go Casemiro, I'd go Eriksen, I'd go Bruno, And I put Mount on the right because Anthony, don't care what anyone says, Anthony's awful. I'm sorry, he's not good enough. He definitely hasn't been over the last few weeks anyway. Obviously, I know he's come back, but it has to be Højlund up top. I think he's going to absolutely thrive on the pressure in this game, and I think he's going to be brilliant. And on the left, I'm going to say Garnacho, mainly because I think Rashford needs to be dropped because he's not good enough.
Thank you, James, for calling up. Appreciate it, and hopefully we can get the win on Sunday. But I think everyone's got to have the fingers crossed and do some proper manifestation over the course of the week and weekend. But, guys, we actually have got some breaking news to bring to you now, which we need to bring now because it is, Faz, I think you've seen it. It's coming from Laurie Whitwell that Richard Arnold is likely to leave Manchester United in the event Sir Jim Ratcliffe's bid for minority investment gets confirmed. Arnold was made chief executive in February 2022, but the new ownership structure seems presenting an appropriate time to step away. I mean, first of all, a lot of people are criticising for Jim Ratcliffe's minority investment to be what is actually going to change already before it's even confirmed. It seems like Chief Executive Richard Arnold will be leaving the club in the event that Sir Jim Ratcliffe does manage to secure the minority investment. That is massive. There's so many opinions about Richard Arnold, but I think a consensus is he's not a good enough Chief Executive to be running Manchester United. Faz, opinions?
I'll have to wait until it actually happens and who they replace him with. Obviously, I don't agree with the way of business, and I don't think they've done a great job. But in hindsight, the way they've worked is they've tried to cut the wage bill as much as possible. You can just see it from how they've functioned. Well, it'll be interesting to see who they bring in, and also it'll be interesting to see if this even goes through. 25% stake, allowing you to get rid of Richard Arnold. And if it does as well, if it actually happens, it would mean...
We need to see what sort of power Sir Jim
that's what I'm saying.
is going to have.
That's what I'm saying. If he actually ends up making this happen and Richard Arnold leaves, that would tell us that he clearly has some sort of strong say in footballing decisions. So that would be a great way of us knowing. But only time will tell.
Wonder what would happen to John Murtough if Paul Mitchell, maybe he goes as well, and then it's like quite a shift.
Yeah.
But let's see what happens. I'm sure more news will be coming out about this afternoon now that it's broke, and we'll be here with any live updates if anything does develop, and I'm sure Mark will have a lot to say on the 8 PM show about it. But I want to say thank you to our community for getting involved in the chat, in the Discord. We love these calling shows and we love hearing your opinions. Also, Christmas jumper, limited availability, limited edition. Go and grab yourself one, link in the description. They are lovely coming up to the Christmas period, so make sure you go and grab yourself one of them. Faz, thank you very much. Brilliant calling show as always. He's off to rewatch Copenhagen with Ricky.
Yes.
Having a lesson by the master. And enjoy the rest of your Thursday night, guys. Have a good one. Fingers crossed for the derby on Sunday. We will see you there. Come on, United. And yeah, have a good one, everyone.